Have you ever wondered why, despite all your hard work and dedication, true power seems to slip through your fingers like sand? Imagine yourself pouring every ounce of effort into climbing the ladder of success, yet every rung feels as elusive as the last. You're doing everything by the book, ticking all the boxes, but the recognition, the influence, the control over your destiny you crave remains just beyond reach. It's as if there's a hidden mechanism, a secret lever you're not pulling, that makes the difference between the powerful and the powerless. But what if there was a way to break this cycle? What if I told you that a single, transformative insight could illuminate the path to the influence and achievement you seek? This episode promises just that, a revelation from the 48 laws of power that could be the key to unlocking your potential. We delve into a law that has changed the fortunes of countless individuals throughout history, offering them a way out of the shadows and into the light of recognition and power. To discover this pivotal strategy, to learn how to apply this law in your life, join us. This isn't merely an episode. It's a gateway to the influence you've been striving for. The path to power is within reach. Let us show you the way. In the early decades of the 20th century, amidst the burgeoning skyline of New York City, Joseph Duveen moved with an elegance and confidence that seemed almost anachronistic, with his tailored suits that whispered of London's Savile Row and his demeanor that blended aristocratic grace with the sharp acuity of a seasoned businessman. Duveen was a figure who commanded attention without demanding it. His piercing blue eyes, often described as the windows to a soul deeply passionate about art and its commerce, reflected a mind always at work, calculating, envisioning. His thin lips, prone to breaking into a disarming smile, could just as quickly purse in contemplation, revealing the gears of strategy perpetually in motion. Duveen's personality was as multifaceted as the artworks he dealt with. To the world, he was the quintessential art dealer, persuasive, knowledgeable, and unerringly adept at navigating the complex social tapestries of the time, yet those who knew him well spoke of a charisma that was not just surface deep. It was imbued with a genuine love for the art that he sold and a vision that transcended mere commerce. He was not just selling paintings, he was curating the cultural legacies of the era's most affluent. Joseph Duveen was not just a merchant of fine arts. He was, in many ways, a sculptor of desires and a painter of dreams for America's burgeoning class of millionaires. With a charisma that seemed to dance around him like light, he could weave stories around a piece of art, making it not just an object to be admired, but a living, breathing entity with a soul and a story. His tales were not mere fabrications, but elaborate tapestries of history, emotion, and aesthetic value, embroidered with the expertise of a true connoisseur. This unique ability to sell a narrative as much as an artwork made him the favorite dealer among America's elite, whose mansions and estates blossomed with canvases and sculptures that were as much a testament to Duveen's prowess as to the collector's wealth. Yet, Duveen's path to dominance in the art world was paved with more than just charm and eloquence. His strategies, often as controversial as they were effective, included aggressive acquisitions, bold claims of authenticity, and at times the transformation of artworks through restoration practices that sparked debate among purists. These tactics, while raising eyebrows, also cemented his position at the pinnacle of the art-dealing world, granting him near monopoly over the appetites of American millionaires eager to drape themselves in European opulence. Despite his unmatched success, there remained a white whale in Duveen's vast ocean of clientele, a figure as elusive as he was coveted. Andrew Mellon. This titan of finance and philanthropy remained just beyond Duveen's reach, a testament to the challenge he presented. For Duveen, whose ambition was as boundless as the seas from which he fetched his precious cargoes of art, securing Mellon as a client was not just a business objective, it was the ultimate conquest. Andrew Mellon stood, a monolith carved from the bedrock of industry and charity, his presence as commanding as a lighthouse perched upon the cliffs of progress. With a visage that bore the etchings of contemplation and resolve, Mellon's appearance mirrored the solemn dignity of the ancient libraries he so cherished, a testament to wisdom quietly amassed through epochs of financial tempests. His eyes, sharp as a falcon's, missed nothing, surveying his empire with the serene detachment of a deity contemplating creation. In stature and demeanor, he resembled not so much a man but an edifice, embodying the stoic virtues of the classical world he sought to preserve through his philanthropy. Where Duveen danced among the stars of socialite gatherings, Mellon's orbit was solitary, tracing a celestial path more reflective and measured, akin to Saturn's slow and majestic circuit through the nights. Duveen, with his flamboyant tapestry of words and gestures, painted the air with the colors of possibility, while Mellon, in his reserved cathedral of thought, preferred the monochromatic simplicity of silence, each word a calculated step through the hallowed halls of his ambitions. Despite Duveen's legendary status and his Midas touch in transforming European art into American heritage, Mellon harbored a distinct aversion toward the art dealer. It was as if Mellon had erected an invisible barrier, a frost-laden hedge around his empire, through which he viewed Duveen with skepticism and unease. The tales of Duveen's flamboyant escapades and his alchemical skill in persuasion, usually his greatest assets, seemed to congeal into whispers of caution as they reached Mellon's ears. These stories, swirling through the corridors of power and wealth, painted Duveen in hues that clashed violently with Mellon's palette of restraint and discernment. Mellon, a collector whose philosophy was built on the bedrock of authenticity and legacy, viewed Duveen's theatrical salesmanship and the controversies of his restorations as anathema to his own values. The very charisma that allowed Duveen to navigate the upper echelons of society with ease was, in Mellon's eyes, a siren's call to be resisted. It was not just a simple lack of interest. Mellon had made it crystal clear, through the unspoken edicts of his reticence and the careful selection of his existing advisors, that he had no intention of meeting Duveen. This wasn't merely a door left ajar, waiting to be pushed open. It was a vault door, closed with the finality of a seal, guarding against the intrusion of a world Mellon viewed with wary eyes. This stance presented an intriguing paradox. The very qualities that made Duveen a magnetic force in the art world were the same that repelled Mellon, creating a rift wider than the Atlantic that separated their worlds. It was a dance of shadows and light, where each step taken by Duveen in Mellon's direction seemed only to deepen the latter's resolve to remain ensconced within his fortress of solitude, unswayed by the flamboyant displays that so defined Duveen's approach. Undeterred by the frosty reception from Mellon's citadel, Duveen's resolve only crystallized further, his ambition undimmed by the challenge. To his friends and confidants, he declared with a mix of defiance and prophecy, "Not only will Mellon buy from me, but he will buy only from me." This bold assertion was not born of arrogance, but rather a deep-seated belief in the transformative power of art and his unique role as its conduit. Yet, beneath this declaration, there stirred a recognition of the winds of change, a prelude to a strategic metamorphosis that would demand Duveen to navigate the uncharted waters beyond his usual realm of charismatic salesmanship. The air around Duveen seemed charged with the electric hum of impending transformation. It was as if he stood at the threshold of an alchemical process, ready to shed the flamboyant feathers of his past approaches in favor of a more nuanced plumage. This looming evolution hinted at a deeper understanding of the battlefield before him. To capture the fortress of Mellon's patronage, he would need to employ a strategy that transcended the grand gestures and eloquent narratives that had previously secured his victories. Duveen recognized that the key to unlocking Mellon's guarded domain was not through the front door, adorned with the persuasive opulence of his trade, but through a more subtle ingress, one that appealed to Mellon's core values of legacy and the solemn gravity of cultural stewardship. In a move that was starkly uncharacteristic of his usual flamboyance, Duveen receded into the shadows, orchestrating his plans with the quietude of a chess master. This phase of quiet observation marked a significant departure from the grandiose strategies that had previously defined his career. With meticulous precision, Duveen set about unraveling the enigma that was Andrew Mellon. Adopting the patience of a hunter tracking his quarry through dense underbrush, this was not the brash acquisition of intelligence through social conquests, but a deliberate, almost covert operation that saw Duveen deploying resources with surgical precision to infiltrate the inner circle of Mellon's world. Duveen's approach was methodical, placing several of Mellon's staff on his own payroll, an act that, while clandestine, was motivated by a deep desire to understand his subject beyond the surface level. Through whispered conversations and the careful collection of insights, Duveen pieced together the mosaic of Mellon's life, his habits, tastes, and even his phobias. This shadow network operated with the subtlety of a whisper in a grand hall, gathering droplets of knowledge that coalesced into a comprehensive understanding of the man who'd become Duveen's white whale. This period of silent observation and meticulous study stretched across several years. During this time, he watched from the sidelines as other art sellers, less reticent and more direct in their approaches, edged closer and closer to Mellon. Each successful transaction and budding relationship between Mellon and his competitors sent ripples of anxiety through Duveen, casting shadows of doubt over his unconventional strategy. The spectre of losing his chance at engaging Mellon loomed large. A gale threatening to unsettle the sails of his patience, Duveen found himself at a crossroads, caught between the instinct to revert to the showmanship and grandiosity that had crowned him the preeminent art dealer of the 20th century, a legacy bequeathed by his ancestors, themselves masters of the art trade, and the strategy of restraint he had so painstakingly committed to. It was a battle between the very essence of his identity and the uncharted strategy he believed was key to winning Mellon over. The glittering allure of his traditional methods beckoned, tempting him with the comfort of the familiar and the proven success of his ancestral playbook. Yet, amidst this tumult of doubt and temptation, Duveen chose to anchor himself in the conviction of his new approach. He recognized that what was at stake was not merely a transaction, but the culmination of his life's work, a challenge that demanded more than the usual theatrics. It was a test of his adaptability, his willingness to evolve beyond the legacy of his forebears. In choosing to lay low, to stick to the shadows despite the gnawing anxiety and the parade of competitors passing him by, Duveen was not just waiting. He was preparing, he was honing his strategy and sharpening his insights, fortified by the belief that his understanding of Mellon, nuanced and deep-rooted, would ultimately prove to be the key to unlocking a partnership that had eluded him thus far. This was Duveen, not diminished but distilled, a strategist playing the long game in pursuit of a prize that transcended the immediate and spoke to the legacy he yearned to secure. By the time Duveen was ready to emerge from this self-imposed exile of reconnaissance, he was armed with an arsenal of information so detailed that it rivaled the intimate knowledge of Mellon's own spouse. He knew not just what Mellon admired, but why he admired it, understanding the undercurrents of thought that shaped his preferences and aversions. In the bustling heart of London 1921, the corridors of Claridge's Hotel whispered with the clandestine maneuvers of Joseph Duveen, a man on the cusp of destiny. Mellon, the elusive quarry, had taken up residence in a palatial suite on the third floor, a bastion of luxury and discretion. Unbeknownst to Mellon, directly below him, Duveen had positioned himself strategically, having secured a suite where the threads of his meticulously woven plan could converge. The chess pieces began to move when Duveen, with the finesse of a seasoned diplomat, orchestrated a subtle alliance between his valets and Mellons. This alliance, forged in the undercurrents of service and secrecy, on a day marked by fate, a casual exchange between the valets unfolded, a seemingly innocuous relay of information that set the stage for the long-awaited encounter. Mellon, clad in his overcoat and poised to step into the world outside, became the unwitting lead in Duveen's carefully directed play. With the urgency of a conductor facing the final movement, Duveen's valet assisted him into his overcoat, a prelude to the imminent convergence. Moments later, Duveen stepped into the lift, the air charged with anticipation. As the doors parted, there stood Mellon, solitary and unsuspecting. "How do you do, Mr. Mellon?" Duveen's introduction broke the silence, an overture to the dance of destiny about to unfold. The revelation that both were en route to the National Gallery was serendipity at its finest. As they ventured through the hallowed halls of the museum, Duveen embarked on a masterful display of erudition and insight, weaving a narrative around each piece that mirrored Mellon's known preferences with uncanny precision. This was no mere coincidence, but the culmination of years of study and strategy. Duveen's knowledge, seemingly aligned so perfectly with Mellon's tastes, was not happenstance but the result of his deep dive into the psyche of the man he sought to understand. To Andrew Mellon's surprise, Joseph Duveen was not the flamboyant salesman of rumors but a man of charm and exquisite taste, deeply resonating with Mellon's own refined sensibilities. This revelation occurred during their serendipitous meeting at London's National Gallery and grew stronger upon their return to New York. When Mellon visited Duveen's gallery, he discovered a collection that perfectly aligned with his own collecting ambitions, each piece reflecting his vision of cultural legacy and beauty. This visit marked the beginning of a profound partnership, with Mellon becoming Duveen's most esteemed and generous client for the rest of his life. Joseph Duveen, driven by an unyielding ambition and competitive spirit, never left his success to the whims of chance. Why rely on mere charm or the hopeful guesswork akin to hunting in the dark? A bit of strategic knowledge could turn a shot in the dark into a precise strike. Among the glittering array of Duveen's conquests, Mellon stood as his most prized. Yet, Duveen's strategy extended beyond just one. He conducted covert surveillance on numerous wealthy patrons. By enlisting the services of their household staff, he gained a continuous stream of insights into their personal preferences, schedules, and evolving tastes, always keeping him one step ahead in the game. This tactic wasn't lost on Duveen's rivals. One competitor, eyeing Henry Frick as a potential client, found Duveen perpetually ahead, as though equipped with a prescient gift. To his contemporaries, Duveen appeared omnipresent, always seemingly one step ahead. Armed with knowledge they hadn't yet discovered. This apparent omnipotence disheartened many, leading them to abandon the chase for the affluent patrons who could cement their fortunes. This illustrates the subtle power of strategic intelligence gathering. It not only enhances one's aura of invincibility and foresight, but also enables a tailored charm that seems almost magically in tune with the target's wishes. Invisible yet impactful, this form of power is the hardest to counteract, for what remains unseen remains uncontested. In the chess game of power, the ultimate prize is gaining leverage over the unfolding tapestry of future events. However, a formidable challenge arises. People often cloak their true thoughts, emotions, and schemes. By controlling their outward expressions, they shield their vulnerabilities, hidden agendas, and fixations, leaving you navigating in the shadows, unable to anticipate their next move. The art then lies in mastering the subtle art of inquiry, uncovering their deepest secrets and intentions while maintaining an innocuous facade. This endeavor, though daunting, is more achievable than it appears. A veneer of ability can be your cloak, allowing you to discreetly amass intelligence on both allies and adversaries. Eschew the mystical predictions of horoscopes and tarot. Your foresight is grounded in tangible, actionable intelligence. The most traditional espionage tactic employs intermediaries, as exemplified by Duveen. While straightforward and effective, this method bears inherent risks of betrayal or exposure. A more refined strategy is to become the spy, adopting the guise of a confidant while you quietly compile your dossier. Talleyrand, the French statesman, was a maestro of this craft. His conversations were a ballet of wit and insinuation, revealing nothing of his own thoughts, while deftly extracting those of others under the guise of genial discourse. His genius lay in his ability to retreat into the background of conversations, prompting others to unwittingly divulge their schemes and intentions. Despite his reputation as a brilliant conversationalist, Talleyrand seldom spoke of himself, instead coaxing out the personal insights of those around him. Through casual gatherings and seemingly innocuous games, he gathered pearls of information crucial for his diplomatic endeavors, all while maintaining a facade of sociability and camaraderie. Talleyrand's techniques at the Congress of Vienna illustrate the cunning of his approach, fabricating secrets to gauge reactions and uncover deeper alliances or intentions. This strategy of attentive silence and strategic provocations during social interactions allows for the collection of invaluable insights, all while the subjects of your interest mistake your curiosity for camaraderie, inadvertently aligning themselves with you. Yet, tread lightly. Overt probing or a discernible ulterior motive can quickly turn potential sources of information into wary adversaries. The key is to weave through conversations with the finesse of a friend, not a hunter, ensuring your inquiries illuminate rather than expose, securing alliances as you uncover the hidden chess moves of the power game.